Hello student, how are you? In my previous video, I made some 2 marks important question maybe asked by the CBSE. That was in the Hindi medium. Now same questions I am repeating it in the English medium. And now these question 2 marks based question I think are supposed to be expected. They might come in your annual examination. The first question that I have given here is differentiate between the refugees and the migrants. Refugees, all we know that are those people who are forced to leave their country and live in on the border due to some internal civil wars or war at the border and some violence is there. Then these people take shelter in other countries. These are called the refugees. Now second, here the differences between the migrants, they are the immigrants. These are those people who according to their will, मीन्स अपनी इच्छा के अनुसार, ठीक है, दे लीव देयर ओन कंट्री एंड सेटल इन अनदर कंट्री एंड देयर ओन फ्री विल with they settle in the another country. This could be any causes, whether for better education, for better economic opportunities, and better lifestyle. These peoples migrate from their one country and settle in the another country. These are called the migrants or immigrants. The second question here I have given is mention any two sources of threats facing third world countries. Now, first of all, you should be clear about what are the third world countries. The third world countries are the newly independent countries that were earlier a part of colonialized system. Take example of India. India was also a third world country because India got its independence after the Second World War and did not join the first power bloc America led and the second USSR led power group. And these third world countries, they are the newly independent country after the Second World War. Now here the question is the major sources of the threats these countries are facing. The first the threats are these countries are they are developing and backward, economically backward, and these countries are facing the problem like human rights violation is there, terrorism is there, and poverty and various economic problems are there. Now, I think these two are important. Now, third question: what is meant by the term global commons wealth? Now, here the Global Commonwealth is a property which is owned not by any single country but all the countries of the world. For example, here you can give the example of take example of Antarctica, outer circle oceans. Take the air, the whole the countries they are consuming the sea water. So these are the examples of the global common property or the wealth. Now the fourth question which I have given: describe any two steps taken by China to improve its economic system. Now, you know, before 1978, China was having a Soviet model of economy. Now, after that, in China has opened its economic policy and it has adopted the open policy. Now, after this, now we are asking that the way the China have improved its economic system. The first thing is that the China ended its political and economic isolation by establishing relations with the US in 1972. And second, the China announced the economic reforms in the year 1978 through an open door policy. Now, fifth question: mention any one measure to combat terrorism as a new source of security threat. Now, any measure, any step that can help in ending this terrorism. The answer is the terrorism has emerged as a major security threat in the present time. Globally, terrorism can be fought through shared cooperation and strategy. All the countries they will cooperate with each other, and with the proper strategy and planning, they can combat this threatening terrorism. Now, sixth question: uh, why are organizations like United Nations needed? Now here is the question: why do we need the UN? UN, what is the importance of UN and why do we need the UN? The answer here is that we need an international organization like the UN because first, work to save the world war so that in future there could be no third world war. We have already experienced the two world wars, so we need UN because we save our country, save our the world from the third world war. Second point is to maintain the international peace and security. Third is to establish the global level cooperation among the various countries. And the fourth, it is necessary to meet the new global challenges, the challenges where the world is facing. So we all country need cooperation, and where we can meet and discuss the various global issues and challenges. Now, seventh question, give any two arguments against the demand for ban on dam construction. Now you have seen that multi-purpose dams are being constructed. So any two demands that being raised to for not the construction of the dam, what are the arguments against? You know that dams are very important as a process for the irrigation, not only for irrigation, for providing hydroelectricity and providing the safe drinking water, and it also prevents the floods, etc. Okay, but some people are thinking that these dams may be considered as a stumbling block in the process of development, because only a few segment of the society have been getting the benefits of the dams, and not all the farmers or all the segments of the society are not getting the benefits from the dam. So this is the seventh question. Now come to the eighth question. Eighth question is that why did India refuse to sign 1968 NPT, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, in 1968? Now here you all know that India has refused to sign the NPT because India considered this treaty to be a biased or discriminatory in nature. If you are not familiar with this, the word biased, you can write the word discriminatory in nature. And second, India has also had to compete with the nuclear power of its neighboring country, because in the neighboring country we are facing since independence terrorism attacked by the, whether it could be a Pakistan or the China. Okay? So in order to maintain our security, also security of the country also, we have established our nuclear power. So India considered that it is not necessary to sign the NPT. Now the ninth question, mention any two reforms proposed by the United Nations UCAD, its trading and development, to improve the global trading system. Now here the answer is the two reforms that was initiated by the UNCAD. First, least developed countries should have control over their own natural resources. Least developed means the countries which are developing or they are not developed, they should have their control on their natural resources of the country. Second, they should have an access to the Western market. So these developing countries, they are given the proper chance to have a market in the Western countries. Third, the role of the least developed countries in the international economic institution should be increased. In the international economic institution, these developing countries should be given a proper chance. Now, fourth, technology imported from the Western countries should be available at cheap rates. Why? Because these developing countries, they must develop as par with the Western countries. So the technology should be available at reasonable prices to the developing countries. Now, 10th question. Independent India was born under very difficult circumstances. Justify this statement with any two suitable arguments. You know that the independence of India is associated with the partition of the country. So we have to justify our statement with giving two reasons. First is that independence came with the partition of the country, and second, after independence there was a lot of violence and also suffered a trauma of displacement of the people from the whether it could be of the East Pakistan to India, and whether it could be of the West Pakistan to the India. Now, 11th question. Analyze the two factors that were responsible for the formation of the Pakistan. Now, here you have to write any two factors that are responsible. First, you all know that Muslim League, the theory of the dual nationalism, two nation policy pronounced by the Muhammad Ali Jinnah and the Muslim League. And the second is the political competition between the Congress and the Muslim League is also responsible for this formation of a division of the country. Now, 12th question. Describe any two features of the Soviet system. The Soviet system that is being adopted in the USSR. Now, here you have to mention the features. First feature is that recognition to the Communist Party only. Communist parties, it was the dominance of their. Second, lack of unemployment. And third, opposing capitalism and private property. Fourth, fulfilling the basic needs of the man by the state. All the needs of the citizens of the country is being fulfilled by the state government only. Now come to the 13th question. How did the Russian government deal with the dealing two republics running a violent movement for succession? How this means Russian government they are dealing with the violence that is being the violence, or you can say the secessionist movement that was started by the Russians. How this Russian government dealt with these problem? First, the Russian government carried out indiscriminate military bombing to suppress the violent suppressed movement in the Chechnya and the Chechnya and Dastan communities against they forcefully the military in the Russia they suppress the violent suppressed movement. Now 14th question, identify the four common symbols that give European Union the appearance of a nation state. So how EU has become an important nation state, or yeah, you can say an important international organization. So you have to answer the 2 points here. The first, we know that the European Union has something is common that is making it is more powerful in the world. They have a common national flag, common national anthem, and the foundation day in the common national currency is there. That is making it as a powerful organization. Now come to the 15th question. Highlight any two features of the India's mixed economy system. Any two features of the India's mixed economy system. You know that India is a mixed economy system, both public as well as private, and various cooperative organizations are being running in India. So you have to give the mixed features of this country. First is that a substantial part of the agriculture trade and the industries have been left in the private hand. So most of the agriculture industries that trade there, that has been the private hand. Second is the state controlled major heavy industries provided infrastructure, regulated trade. Major interventions were made in the field of the agriculture. It doesn't mean that the state role is minimal. No, no. The state is also having a control of various heavy industries, even in the trade and in the agriculture field also. Now come to the 16th question. Who promoted the coup in Soviet Union in the year 1991 and why? So you have to say that in 1991 there was a military coup in Soviet Union, and why this coup was there. You know that in 1990s we have experienced the disintegration or the dissolution of the USSR. This encouraged to the military's activities there. So this coup was there by the radicals of the communist parties. The communist parties, the radicals, they initiated the military coup and they were opposed to the reforms within the Communist Party. They were against the reforms in the Communist Party. Now come to the 17th question. The framers of the Constitution of India ensure that development and the welfare should belong to the entire society and not just for a few sessions. Give any two of the above arguments to establish the explanation for this statement. So here you have to give about that how these framers of our constitution they want to develop a country for the welfare of all the segments of the society. You have to give the two statements here. Now first point is for the answer is that the Indian constitution has adopted a principle of equality. Secondly, special protections for the socially disadvantaged groups is also made there. Religious and cultural communities they were also given a special protection. The second point, the Constitution of India has prescribed the welfare goals in the directive principles of the state policy. So, directive principles, these are also been made in our Indian constitution, though these are not enforceable, means they are not legal backing, but these arguments are made in our Indian constitution for the welfare of all the section of the society. And now come to the 18th question. Mention any two reforms brought or whether it could be initiated by the Gorbachev. Means Gorbachev first, Gorbachev has adopted the policy of openness and restructuring in the Soviet Union. These policies are known as Glasnost and Perestroika. Glasnost means openness and Perestroika means restructuring of the USSR system. Whether it could be economic, social, or the political, he wants a total restructure of the system, and for this he has given the two major improvement. First, to establish the normal relations within the countries of the west, and second, democratizing the Soviet system, and third, ending the arm race with the America. It wants to end the arm race with the America also. Now come to the 19th question. Mention any two reasons for disintegration of the Soviet Union. So you have to write the two reasons for the dissolution of the USSR, that is to be held in 1990s. The first is the economic stagnation was brought about by the lack of the consumer goods. So there was no consumer goods, and economy has become stagnant almost. It is not having any economic progress. Second, widespread corruption is and the inability to rectify the mistakes. The bureaucrats who were holding the power, they were becoming corrupt, and hardly there was any measures or steps to correct their mistake. Third, the screws of the bureaucracies. All the powers are centralized in the hands of the bureaucrats. And fourth, dictatorship of the Communist Party, and you know that there was a dominance of the communist parties, and it is becoming very dictatorship, holding all the powers in his hands in their own autocratic manner. Now come to the 20th question. How many years did the civil war in Tajikistan last, and when did the civil war ended? You know that the civil war that in Tajikistan, it continued from 1991 and lasted in 2001, and it continued for the 10 years. Now come to 21st question. What message does the circle of gold stars in the flag of the EU symbolizes? You have seen the symbol, the logo of this EU. You have seen the circle outline is of the blue color, and the inside the blue there was some golden star flags were there. Now, what does this gold star symbolizes? Now, answer to this question is that the European Union consists of the 12 gold colored stars in the shape of the circle of a blue base, and these circles of the stars represents the unity and harmony of the people of the Europe. First, you will tell that it represents the unity and harmony of the people of the Europe. Second, the number 12, there is a traditionally is considered to be a wholeness or totality or the unity. So the number why it is 12 only. So it is traditional concept. It is associated with the wholeness and totality and unity of the members of the EU. Now come to the 22nd question. Write any two characteristics of the European Union which make it an influential organization. So you have to say that how EU is becoming a very influential organization at the world level. First, has become the world largest economy by the year 2005, and second, France, and you can say the England also. Though England is not a part of EU, but France has a veto power and being a permanent member of the Security Council. Now, 23rd question. What is meant by ASEAN style, and what are its two purposes? Now, here the ASEAN has achieved a lot of fame. You know that ASEAN is becoming a very important organization at the world level, And a new example of informal, non confrontational, and cooperative reconciliation. This is called the ASEAN style, or in Hindi, it is ASEAN Shelley. So, the two objectives of this ASEAN styles are accelerating the economic development. Accelerating means increase the economic development, and promoting the regional peace and stability. Now come to the 24th question. Write any two reasons for the instability of the democracy in Pakistan. The reasons why democracy is not stable in the Pakistan. First is interference in the army in the affairs of the government. You know that there is a army is playing an important role in the affairs of the government. Second, there is a dominance of the religious leaders over the society. So, mean the religious leaders like Qazis were there. They were dominating the society. Third, lack of public awareness. Public is not aware. Fourth, it is having continuing enmity. Enmity means दुश्मनी जिसे कहते हैं enmity with India and Pakistan. Now, last I have written mentioned the 25th question. Define what are cultural differentiation in globalization. ठीक है. This is from cultural differentiation. Yeah, cultural globalization is there. Cultural globalization. Now, the cultural variations is also a cultural effect of globalization. You know that with the globalization, we can experience a lot of cultural differences. And with this globalization, every culture is becoming more and more distinct and special, becoming more distinct and special. And this process of differentiation among the various culture has increased, and it is called cultural differentiation in globalization. Thank you, and hopefully all the 25th question that I have mentioned here are clear to you. Thank you, and all the best for your examinations.